All right, let's go over the ultimate trader suite from QuantVue. This is going to be not a fully in-depth guide, but more how I use this and how I keep it up on my screen. Also, I just want to give a shout out to everybody posting in the Profit and Wins channel that are just crushing it today. I mean, people are just posting some insane wins today. So even Jay posting his wins while he's at the gym. You can see his dual setup right there. That's crazy. All right, so let's just jump right into the charts here. All right, so this is called the Ultimate TradingView Suite by QuantVue. So this is going to be a really good thing for scalping, but more just taking intraday trades, I think, on longer term basis, and also gives you a really good visualization of where things currently are on the market, even on a day scale down here. We'll go over kind of the top chart. It's going to be your 5-minute chart. You have your Rincos down in the left. You have a 30-minute chart here, and then you have a day chart in the bottom right corner. I have it set up for NQ. Right now, I think when you first get it, it's set up for ES, and I think the only thing that you really have to change is the TPO. You have to play around with the ticks per row to get it to appear correctly, because if not, these blue it would just won't show up if the tick value is too low on NQ. So that's just something to keep in mind. Keep in mind that you have to play with that a little bit. But we're going to start off, I guess, with the top chart here. This is going to be sessions. I'm just going to make it full screen so we can take a look at it. So the first thing we have is sessions, which is going to be the background colors. All the background colors you can see are different for different times. So you have London, Tokyo, New York, and Sydney. And you have all the times inside of there. You can turn on and off Sydney if you want. A lot of people keep Sydney off. You have the session volume profile for each session. So that's what these are. And then you have the RV VWAP. And so you can see the VWAP right there. And then you have an EMA. I think this is just set to 200 by default. And then you have market order bubbles. Market order bubbles are these things right here. And all the market order bubbles are is a way of visualizing large amounts of orders coming into the market. And what this can help you identify, for me, has been the reversals. So how do you see a reversal? Well, an easy way would be actually right there, pretty much, where you're seeing a lot of buying pressure, right? Boom, 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 all the way up. Even though that this is a red candle, there's still a lot of buying pressure, right? All of a sudden we see the buying pressure let off and we don't get those bubbles anymore. This is probably most likely going to have a nice pullback now, right? So bubbles die off, pullback, bubble, pullback, bubble, little pullback, lots of bubbles, little bit of a pullback, right? After the bubbles kind of die off, you can see the same thing kind of right here. We have bubbles, and then disappears. So a little bit of a pullback, bubbles, 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 light bubbles still. So see if we can find another area where you can kind of see it. So this one, we have a lot of buying pressure all day. So you can kind of see you're getting these little light bubbles all the way. Now we're getting a heavy buying pressure, still heavy buying pressure all the way up here. Probably wouldn't be looking to short any of this. It doesn't really completely die off until this candle here. And then this could be a great entry for a short. And then you can see we have a lot of sell pressure in there too. So it's just another way of kind of identifying. You can see here, this is a good one where we have a lot of buying pressure up into here. You can see it fading off, completely disappear, and we get this rip. So it's a nice way of kind of helping identifying a potential short or potential long at a top. But then you still kind of want to have other confluences. All right, so session volume profile. Now, this is one of the more powerful things that people can get used to using to trade, especially if you're scalping, not with, the thought of scalping for seconds, but scalping for, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. You can get some nice pullbacks using this as a basis of an idea, right? Or one of your confluences, let's put it that way. So first off, purple line's VWAP, right? So you can, if you've ever heard somebody taking a trade off VWAP, right? Where it pushes back into VWAP and it's bouncing off of VWAP, you can trade the VWAP. This red line is the 200 moving average, right? And then you can see that a lot of times VWAP gets respected a lot right here. You have VWAP kind of getting respected there. You have a VWAP touch there. You have another VWAP bounce there. And then this is the only area where VWAP wasn't fully respected. Now keep in mind, you have the value area low right here. This line right here, that's the value area low. This is your value area high. This is volume profile. This thicker red line right here is going to be your point of control. So you can kind of think of like the point of control almost like a magnet. This is not going to be the technical sense, but this is kind of trying to explain it to people that don't understand what these lines mean. I like to think of this middle line kind of you can kind of think of it as a magnet, like price is kind of attracted to go back to it a lot, right? You can see that happen over and over again. And what else I think about like the value area high and value area low is that the value area low, think about like if you're at an auction, right? Value area high would be where people want to sell stuff, right? So people are going to want to sell off up here. And when things get past the value area low, a lot of buyers might want to start buying at this price, right? Now, keep in mind, if there's news during the day or news can always kind of make this a little wonky, right? If you have, a big news event and it just could crash through the value area low, right? Or shoot through the value area high. So there are instances where this probably might not work out as well for you. But in a lot of times, the value area lows and value area highs are great places to start to look for a short. When you're outside the value area high and you want to look for a short, you want to look for something that would give you, hey, we're going to have a short. A lot of times when we pull back from a short, that when we exceed past the value area high for the first time, a lot of times we will come back down to the point of control. And let's see if I can find another example of that where we push out through a value area high or a value area low. So you can see this was the value area low. We shoot through it and we pull back to literally the point of control. Now you can see even then, once we got to the point of control, we kind of started to have another pullback off of it to potentially go back down. The same thing here, we go up. We didn't quite get up to the value area high. We pull back to the point of control and we have a bounce off point of control. So this is something that you have to, I would say very much, I would take a look at this and use this as one of your confluences, especially when you're trading. And now this is also kind of goes into like, how do you know when you should hold something, when you shouldn't hold something, right? Well, one thing's like today when it's relatively choppy, right? We're kind of just in this range, right? If you took a short here, right, and the trade started to go against you, why would you hold that? Why would you hold that and hope that it would come back down? You could be hoping that you might get a little rejection off of VWAP like we kind of did here, and we got this little pullback. You might be able to get out, but once we kind of go over VWAP and we're past the value area low, it's most likely going to go to point of control, right? Before we get another little pullback. And that's pretty much exactly what we did. We went point of control, came back down to VWAP, right? Now, that makes no sense. I wouldn't hold that for anything, even though that we are in a downtrend here, right? From about 12 to 130. This is why it's important to understand value area lows and value area highs, and to understand you know, just the volume profile in general and kind of just how to utilize it. So that's one way. That's something that I look for on the 5-minute chart. One of the other things that you have is going to be the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly VWAP. If that's something that you want to plot on the 5-minute chart, you can do that. You can see VWAP monthly, VWAP yearly, VWAP weekly. I don't typically use that. Not on the 5-minute chart, at least. It just kind of, it's a lot of extra lines that I just don't necessarily like to turn on the 5-minute chart. I do like to look at it to get an idea of where those levels are, maybe before I start my trading day, but I don't typically keep those on. Next, you have the volume suite. Now the volume suite is pretty nice, just because it does actually color the candles themselves too on your chart. So if I turn this off, you can kind of see what it's doing. And so just it's a way of measuring different moves. So larger moves are going to be in yellow, and the red and yellow, I guess, on the short side, and then on the, you know, the buy side, you have these greens and blues. And so you can see like a large push move like that. You can see kind of a dodgy yellow that's showing like selling pressure, but we're also getting volume on the buy side as well. And then eventually we get this dump, and you can see the red there, and it's just a different way of kind of looking at volume. I personally like it. I especially like the yellow candles, just because like whenever you get a yellow candle, you can see that it means that there's going to be like a lot of selling pressure, and you can see that continuation over the next, like, you know, hour here, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes there. And so I do like using it. It's something that I would recommend keeping up. So the next part of this suite is going to be the Q Pro by QuantVue. Now you already know that I love this, and the money ball down here. But this is actually going off right now I just have it set up to go off a 1 second traditional one, but we're going to change that traditional box size to at least 3. It makes it a lot smoother on NQ. Highly suggested. I also suggest getting rid of the ad signals. You can do that by going into here, because I think those are on by default. So you can turn off the ad signals right here, and under style. And yeah, so you get this nice just Q wave, which is going to be for identifying where the moves are happening. So basically I'm looking like, okay, for example, say I'm trading off this chart. What I'm looking for is for us to, if I wanted to short in the value area high area, right? I'm looking for confirmation. So I'm looking for, we're above the value area high, you know, we have no, you know, bullish dots going into this. So it's not super strong, right? We don't have a lot of volume. We could see this easily start to turn over. So what would be my first indication that this is going to start to turn over is going to be, let's see, what time is this? This is 11:55. Is going to be, would be in this range right about here. So you can see right here, once we start to turn over, right? Once we start to kind of turn over, we're forming this double peak, right? What I'm going to be looking for is for a small move down. Now, if you're not quick enough, right, you might not catch this move. So this move actually gets alerted here relatively late. We do get a flip on the money ball. So I might try to take that. But the other thing to point out is that we're coming to the point of control. So I'm looking to take this to the point of control as my take profit. So I don't get in until point of control, then this trade's invalidated already. So I probably wouldn't take it. But the second time that we come up and we start to show weakness here, right? So we have a double top, we have a micro double top here on the Rincos. I'm probably definitely taking this, and my first take profit is going to be that point of control, and that's where I would probably end up killing the trade. If we came down, if I held it and we came down to touch this VWAP like we did here, right? I would definitely get out of that trade. You can see the flip on the money ball right afterwards. So basically just utilizing everything in confluence with one another is what you want to do. Now here is a 30-minute. This is just another way of kind of looking at the value area high, value area low, and the point of control in a 30-minute time frame. It kind of gives you a easier, just first glance, seeing that bigger picture. It's very clean. And one thing again to point out is that you do have to play around on NQ with your ticks per row to get it to show up correctly, depending on what asset that you're using. Next, not going to go over this too much, but this is just going to be the spaceman key levels. So really this is just showing you the previous day's highs and lows and the previous week's highs and lows, because those can end up being key levels a lot of times, especially on the weekly. One of the things that you want to keep an eye on is going to be this weekly low right here, right? And the previous week high, previous week high would be right here. So you can actually see we're trading pretty much right on that previous week high right now. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, so last chart is going to be the daily chart. Now, daily chart has a bunch of EMAs, has volume profile, VWAP on it. And really all I'm going to go over is kind of just how I like to utilize it. So you can see in purple that we have the volume profile for the weekly, and this kind of shows up on the daily. Then you have the point of controls in orange on the weeklies. What's cool about having the point of controls on the weekly, you can kind of see how a lot of times those levels can act as support on the next week as well. I'm going to turn off the point of control so we can just see the VWAP now. VWAP is in orange right here. And one thing that I want to just point out is, again, on the daily, see us come and tap the VWAP and come up and just go right off of it. Now, you can also see that touch again here. Now, a lot of times too, you can see that when we're in a trend, a lot of times the 20 moving average gets respected just over and over and over and over and over again, right? This would be a perfect example, kind of like right here. You can see we end up going over the 20 moving average, crosses the 50 here and the 200. And then you can see all these little pullbacks down to the 20, right? We keep on just bouncing off the 20, bouncing off the 20, bouncing off the 20. And finally, when we end up breaking through, this is one thing to note, right? When we finally end up breaking through, look how big of a pull, right? So look how big of a pull off the 20 we get, right? Usually when we have like a strong pull off the 20 on the daily, you can pretty much expect a pullback at least back to the 20, if not a pullback all the way to the 50 moving average. And I'll see if I can find another example of that. Let's see another example. So you can see right here, we start to trade off of it. We kind of have a little bit of a pull off before that, but not really. Let's see if we can find another one. That's a pretty significant one where we kind of, you can see like once we're up like that high, you're expecting like a pullback. Same thing right here. See how high off the 20 moving average we comes and it pulls back to the 20, right? It's kind of same thing here. That's a big move. I'd be expecting a pullback, but we didn't quite get it yet. So it's like, these are things to kind of keep in mind, and a lot of times if we're in a trend like we are right now, you will constantly see us being like pull back to the 20, bounce, pull back to the 20. Didn't quite get the bounce. We did end up getting the bounce off the 50. We come up, bounce off the 21. We come up, bounce off VWAP. So these are kind of always, you can think of these as support levels in a way on the daily. And it is just something to definitely keep an eye on and know kind of where we are in terms of, are we in an uptrend? Are we in a downtrend? Are we, what are we forming? What looks like we're forming right now, hopefully not, is a big M on the daily. And I'm hoping that's not the case because my stock portfolio will not like that. So that's just a brief overview on how I personally like to use the suite. I of all the charts that are a part of the suite, I really like using the 5-minute, right? I do use the daily almost all the time just to look, right, at where we are in the market, right? I like to utilize the 30-minute chart, and I like to use the Renko chart on a separate monitor, but I really do like keeping the 5-minute chart. The way that it displays VWAP, the way that it displays the session volume profiles, the session times, and the volume, I really like it. I would highly recommend giving the 5-minute chart in this suite a try if you haven't already. And that's it for this video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and if you haven't tried out QuantVue, go try it out. First 14 days free. And if you have any questions, pop in our Discord channel. Peace.